Hello there, excuse me. Hello there. And welcome to another talk. And today's talk is called, it's really a short talk I do. You know, when you watch David Icke or people, a lot of them do like hour talks. My internet wouldn't be able to do that. Uh, but it's a good thing because I keep it short and sweet, It's usually about 15 minutes maximum. I simply won't upload if I do longer. But yeah, today's talk, podcast meditation, is called Your Perception is Your Reflection. Uh, and some people will deny this. And that's because they're extremely unconscious characters in the dream. But in this self-experience, you can only perceive reality based on what's within you. Be your emotions, your psyche, even, which goes deeper than just this life. Your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, perceptions, imagination, all comes from you. So that's why I'm not a psychiatrist. My journey began from an unexpected spiritual awakening 10 years ago. At the age of 24, I'm 34 now, so 10 years on this journey. I had it because I had enough, face myself, and that relates to this talk. I had enough one day, sat down, and it was a morning time, and I had enough of everything. And I knew in that very moment, I had a glimpse of myself in the future. I've repeated this in talks many times. And then, mind explosion, awakening, just wow. I'm not going to dive into that, but basically I faced myself, That's basically how it happened. I had enough and I faced myself. And some people in that moment would choose to commit suicide. But yeah, and so your perception is your reflection. So I faced myself and everything became my mirror. And this was before I didn't know about shadow work or anything. And then, you're going within because you realise it's all you. Because in spiritual awakening, what I did at that moment, I was authentic, because you've awakened, ignited the heart chakra. And that, ignites your spiritual awakening. And the rest is history. And so in the awakening, before I heard about it, like on the internet or something, I was going through this oneness journey, realizing it was all me, like a mirror. And I found out later that it was in psychology, and it's called shadow work. And everyone has an unconscious shadow, but it's true that you can only see things, it's logical, You can only see the world based on you. Even if it's a so-called narcissist, your inner, I call it that everyone's got an inner narcissist. This is just something I made up, but it's true. Everyone's got an inner narcissist. That inner narcissist is your ego. It's the thing that wants to demonize the external narcissist, because the external narcissist is bringing out your insecurities and your inner narcissism. So you're trying to bring that person down to bring yourself up. That's narcissism right there. And what you've captured there is your own traumas. And so in that moment, shadow work is really using that moment where you're triggered and just feel what you feel. And what's happening is the trauma within the psyche is revealing itself to you. And it's like a therapist situation. It just wants you to listen. And as you do this, you heal. This is how I did it on my journey. Before I knew what shadow work was, And so it is true, your perception is your reflection. But like I say, logic would say that, because like I say, you could only think and imagine things and feel things from within yourself. Yes, it's all connected, but ultimately your self-experience is an experience, and you form your perceptions from information received, experiences, information that you receive, and you make your assumptions based on that. So it really, sometimes it's not a direct reflection of your current consciousness. It could be subconscious as well. This happens a lot to me, and I'm. It's about being aware of it though. It's like I say, that's how you heal it. A lot of people don't want to admit that, because then I think, they'd feel like a bad person. A lot of people have got a lot of hang-ups, and they're not willing to admit that they're not perfect. You've got to admit that your flaws make you perfect, because if it wasn't for that flaws, you couldn't improve on them. And the idea of like getting somewhere, like in an awakening, that's the dream. Let that all go. It's just constant ascension. It's just infinite, limitless life. If everything comes from 0 point nothing, that's infinity. That means you can't stop ascending. Can't stop healing. Because as soon as something is finished, there's another. And so it's about letting that go. And once you let that go, let it all go, that's when you enter proper presence and Tantric Energy, which is, you've got a source version of you. The source version of you is where your insights come from. And the source version of you is like a bliss self. Imagine a self that is just like a bliss body. Imagine your body's all in bliss and love, and imagine all the beautifulness with love. And this has happened once you start. It's all about healing within yourself, and not beating yourself up about stuff, not putting yourself down. That's why a lot of people don't like to admit it's a reflection, because then they'll feel bad about that. Don't feel bad about it. No, you're only feeling bad because of your programmed perception. Someone told you something that made you think you'll feel bad about it, right? Let it go and just be as you are. That'll heal you as well, because you're not attaching yourself to, wanting to be a certain way. And when if you do react to somebody, know that it's your reflection, and just let it be. And let the present moment, absolute presence, try to be more here than there. The future is coming, but you don't have to rush towards it. And let that lead the way in your experience, and know that this moment and all moments are divine moments. You might call it spirit, you might call it higher levels of consciousness, but it has your back in this experience. And that's the thing that gets a lot of people down. They think that there's some sort of mistake, but there's no mistakes, because infinity of nothingness means that it's all experiences. So it means that all moments are divine moments. It's because they've run themselves infinitely, meaning that it can only be the most perfect version that you're dealing with, because it's had infinity to run itself. But back to what I was talking about, it's about acceptance when you react to things and consciously staring into yourself. Consciously staring into your reactions, and that's when you've captured the trauma. And just be authentic. What is your heart saying? If you don't want it to be, or if you're saying to yourself it's your perception is not your reflection, what is the heart saying? It's saying it is. That's because the head thinks but the heart knows. It's about the mergence between the heart and brain. But that happens when you go within your heart, when you're authentic. Because we all know that everything's a mirror of us. It's all one consciousness. You are merely the collective consciousness embodied. You're embodying the collective consciousness. That's why in spiritual awakening you're healing so much. You're actually healing the collective consciousness within yourself. That's basically what's happening. But, even if you don't want to look at it from a spiritual standpoint, logical standpoint, you can only imagine things based on what you think and feel, So it's true, your perception is your reflection. And healing can only begin once you start being honest with yourself. And also don't take yourself too seriously. It's not a big deal. The first thing is to forgive yourself. Be just as you are. Don't be what the other characters in the dream are telling you what you should be. Because they are saying that based on their perceptions, But they don't even exist because it's one consciousness, meaning it's you. It's just a state of being aware, and it's one awareness. Like Deepak Chopra says, one nothing, which is the source of life. Within that is what I would call God. So it's oneness. So it can only ever be you. You're all life. But your perception is your reflection. So start being authentic. That's how I manifested my own awakening, like I've said. I face myself, and that's what you've got to do. In the dream, later on I found that the character was not real, that it's just one awareness. I've heard, I watch mediums sometimes on YouTube, and in heaven, they go by the law of one, which is the new earth, But I'm not going to dive into that just now. And part of that is the shadow work, just being authentic, be honest. Don't put yourself down if you perceive someone in a bad way or you react. Forgive yourself, because all your traumas want to do is you to listen to them, feel them. And you'll notice as you do this, you'll start to feel better. This is what happened in my path. At the start I was crying a lot, and then it went away more and more because I just went with it. You see, it's a healing process. So be kind to yourself and be authentic. That's the most important thing. Be heart-based and be authentic. And I'm just going to leave it there. For latest updates, talks, news, research and songs and much, much more, please do visit my website at www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you.